On January 16, 2018, Ronaldinho Gaucho shocked the entire football world and lost everything. This genius of the game said goodbye to the pitch, leaving his mark on history with major titles, unbelievable goals, and a whole lot of controversies. But what nobody expected was that retirement would be just the beginning of a huge downfall. A few months after hanging up his boots, Ronaldinho got hit with his first big scandal. Some unknown person leaked a bombshell. The guy was married to 2 women at the same time. Once that story exploded, more details about Ronaldinho's personal life started coming out. And the wildest part? He kept 2 separate bedrooms at home, one for each wife. But it doesn't stop there. Even with 2 wives, Ronaldinho still had a secret mistress on the side. When both wives found out what was going on, they didn't think twice, packed their things, and left him for good. And that was only the first of many mistakes that would haunt Ronaldinho's life. If there was one person Ronaldinho was weak for, it was his brother. But mixing family with business isn't always the smartest idea. Ronaldinho's brother wasn't just his manager. He also introduced him to all kinds of shady business opportunities, crypto schemes, illegal construction in a protected area. And that illegal building project brought the biggest consequences. Police raided Ronaldinho's house and seized everything: his jewelry, luxury cars, and even his passports. When police checked Ronaldinho's bank accounts, everyone was stunned by what they found. One of the highest paid players in the world had only $5 across all his accounts combined. He was completely broke. Without his real passport, which had been seized by the authorities, Ronaldinho and his brother still needed to travel. And that's when they made the worst decision possible. Ronaldinho's brother had the brilliant idea of getting fake passports for both of them. Their destination? Paraguay. But there was just one tiny problem. Ronaldinho is one of the most recognizable faces on the planet. In South America especially, forget it. There's no way he'd go unnoticed. So what was the outcome of this mastermind plan? Ronaldinho Gaucho ended up arrested in Paraguay. He spent 5 months behind bars, and to get his freedom back, he had to pay a $1.6 million fine. And that was only the first of many consequences still ahead. Ronaldinho's story shows how even the biggest idols can fall hard when they make the wrong choices. From wild parties to shady business deals, from the marriage scandal to the fake passport scheme, each decision pushed him further down. Maradona, considered by many the greatest Argentine player ever, but his downfall came through drugs. Diego Maradona was born in 1960 in a poor neighborhood in Buenos Aires, but his talent with the ball lifted him out of poverty fast. His rise was meteoric. He shined at Argentinos Juniors and Boca Juniors. After a brief stint at Barcelona, where he showed his brilliance to the world and helped the team win 3 titles despite being there for a short time, he was sold to Napoli due to an injury and his iconic fight.
Golpeando sobre Maradona. Ya hay un enzarzamiento general, ahí lo ven ustedes, de Maradona con varios jugadores del Athletic de Bilbao. Ha llegado ahora Miguel y le ha golpeado también close sobre Pachi Salinas. Y atención.
In Italy, he reached the peak of his fame and fortune after moving there in 1984. At his peak, Maradona wasn't just a superstar, he was a savior. Under his command, Napoli won 2 Italian championships, 1987 and 1990, and more titles. His greatest glory came at the 1986 World Cup in Mexico. Maradona was the captain, the top star, and the heart of the Argentine team, scoring the legendary Hand of God goal and cementing himself as a living legend. He became the highest paid player in the world and was treated like a deity in both Naples and Argentina. But the same environment that turned him into an untouchable idol in Italy ended up dragging him down. While he dominated on the field, Maradona dived into a lifestyle full of excess and bad choices. Even though he first tried cocaine in Barcelona, things escalated in Italy, where he got involved with the Camorra, the Neapolitan mafia, which supposedly supplied him with drugs and protection. The addiction began affecting his discipline and his performance. In 1991, after the Napoli vs Bari match, Maradona tested positive for cocaine in an anti-doping exam. He was suspended from football for 15 months and had to leave Italy in a hurry, marking the end of his golden era. The hero of Naples began to crumble. That 1991 suspension was the start of a decline that lasted the rest of his life. Maradona tried to make a triumphant comeback at the '94 World Cup in the US. He even scored a great goal, but then he failed another test, this time for ephedrine. The image of him walking off the field hand in hand with a nurse became a symbol of his downfall. He was expelled from the tournament, and his international career ended right there. His addiction led to severe heart issues and morbid obesity. In 2004, he was hospitalized in critical condition due to heart problems linked to drug abuse. He lost huge amounts of money because of poor financial decisions, excess, and tax disputes with Italy. Maradona fought addiction and substance abuse until the very end. He passed away on November 25, 2020, at age 60, after a cardiorespiratory arrest at his home in Argentina. His death caused a national shock. Many people couldn't believe it was real. Even with a life full of controversy, Maradona had thousands of loyal fans. He left behind an unmatched legacy on the field and a tragic story off it. He lost control of his health, his discipline, and his life, becoming a symbol of how fame and extreme idolization, when mixed with addiction, can lead to self-destruction, even for one of the greatest geniuses the sport has ever seen. Ryan Giggs' story shows that even when the world sees you as a legend, behind the scenes, you can be far from a loyal man. A lack of loyalty can ruin lives. At the height of his career with Manchester United, Giggs was on top of the world. He collected trophies, lifted huge titles like the Champions League, and was the very definition of loyalty to a club. An unquestionable success, playing alongside some of the greatest footballers on the planet. But you won't believe what he was hiding off the pitch. In 2011, things took a completely unexpected turn. During the season break, a bombshell story hit the Daily Mail, leaked by none other than Ryan Giggs' own brother. Rodri made a devastating reveal. Ryan, idolized by millions, had been having a secret affair with Natasha, Rodri's wife, for more than 8 years. At first, the media and the public didn't take it too seriously. Rodri had no solid proof, and many thought it was just jealousy or family resentment. But everything changed when Rodri began showing undeniable evidence. The breaking point for him came in the most humiliating way. The person who ended up blowing everything open was Natasha herself, who decided to expose the affair. With Rodri revealing the betrayal from his own brother, the family collapsed and the situation became explosive. His anger was so intense that he made his feelings brutally clear at the time.
What would you have done if you'd seen him a couple of weeks after it?
It would have run him over. Yeah. No doubt about it.
And even with chaos all around and public outrage aimed straight at Ryan, the media took a while to acknowledge the person most deeply affected by this entire mess, Ryan's own wife. She was thrown into the center of a global scandal, and all she could think about was her children and how they were supposed to survive something like this. She was the one who had to show up in court, risking all her privacy and dignity. In the end, Ryan Giggs will be remembered for 2 things: his talent on the field and his total lack of loyalty to his own family. If anyone earned losing the reputation, money, and respect they once had, it was Ryan Giggs. Now look at how Pogba's life flipped upside down at the peak of his career. Paul Pogba reached his absolute prime in 2018. He helped France win the World Cup at just 25 years old. At that moment, he was on top of the world. With that success came the lifestyle every top player eventually leans into. Insanely expensive jewelry, luxury cars, massive mansions. But he had no idea this lifestyle would mark the beginning of his downfall. When money changes everything, Pogba himself opened up about how he felt in an interview.
There is money, you have to be careful. Money changes people, can break up a family, can create a war, can create everything.
He admitted he started feeling uncomfortable around his brothers, Matthias and Florentin Pogba. In March 2022, Paul was doing everything he could to get back to what he loved most, playing football, but he had no clue his brother was plotting something cruel. While Pogba was visiting family in France, Matthias invited him to hang out. It all seemed like a casual reunion with childhood friends. Pogba, thinking he'd finally reconnect with his brothers, accepted the invitation, totally unaware of what was waiting for him. The moment Pogba stepped into the apartment, guns were pointed at his face. The kidnappers demanded $13 million. The most absurd part? They wanted $1 million for every year Pogba had been a professional footballer. After the kidnapping, Pogba was completely shaken. He didn't know what to do, and the people close to him quickly noticed something was very wrong. The police took over the case, and Pogba realized he needed a drastic change. He packed his bags and signed with Juventus again, hoping to rediscover the love for the sport that meant everything to him. But what was supposed to be a fresh start turned into a second nightmare. Out of nowhere, Matthias dropped a viral video on Instagram. In the video, he exposed Pogba with bizarre and outrageous accusations. The wildest one, claiming Pogba had paid a witch to cast spells. Something so absurd it sounded like it came straight out of the Middle Ages. It became crystal clear that his brother had no intention of stopping until Pogba's career was completely destroyed. In August 2023, Juventus played their first match of the season against Udinese. Pogba stayed on the bench and didn't play a single minute that day. Even so, the Italian anti-doping agency randomly selected him for testing. And then the bombshell dropped. Every major outlet was reporting that Pogba had tested positive.
Paul Pogba.
This guy is future Ballon d'Or.
Has been
Banned from football for 4 years after failing a drugs test last year.
He has tested positive for testosterone.
The punishment was brutal. A 4-year suspension from football. Pogba will be 34 by the time it ends. A second test was done, but the result was exactly the same. With that, Pogba was finished in the football world. His career completely shattered. Men aren't the only ones who destroy their own careers. One of the clearest examples is goalkeeper Hope Solo. She was undeniably one of the greatest goalkeepers in football history, known for both her excellence and her fiery personality. Solo started making waves in the early 2000s, and her 17-year career was almost entirely dedicated to the US women's national team. She holds the record for the most clean sheets ever, 102 games without conceding a single goal. On top of that, she earned some of the sport's highest honors: 2 Olympic gold medals, a Women's World Cup title, 2015, and she won the award for Best Goalkeeper in the world 4 times, 2012 to 2015. Her talent and beauty turned her into a national celebrity. TV appearances, media buzz, and the kind of fame and wealth rarely seen in women's sports. But her downfall began with a series of legal problems and controversial behavior that clashed hard with her public image. In June 2014, Solo was arrested for domestic violence in Seattle. The charges involved physical assault against her half-sister and nephew during a family gathering. Although the case was eventually dismissed, it raised serious questions about her life off the field. Then in January 2015, her husband, Jeremy Stevens, a former NFL player, was arrested for drunk driving while using a US team vehicle. Solo received only a 30-day suspension from the national team for being present, but the incident damaged her reputation even further. Hope Solo's definitive fall came after the team's elimination at the Rio 2016 Olympics. Following the loss to Sweden, Solo gave a controversial statement, calling the Swedish players a bunch of cowards for using a defensive strategy. The US women's national team, already tired of her disciplinary issues, decided that this public outburst was the final straw. The US Soccer Federation, USSF, suspended her for 6 months and terminated her contract, effectively ending her national team career overnight. The lowest point of her decline came in March 2022, when she was arrested in North Carolina. She was found unconscious inside her car, with her twin toddlers in the back seat and the engine running. Her blood alcohol level was well above the legal limit. Solo pled guilty to drunk driving and child abuse and was sentenced to 30 days in jail plus 24 months of probation. Hope Solo's story is a tragic reminder of how mental health struggles and addiction, combined with an explosive personality, can tear down even a legendary career. Her fall from glory ended not only in the loss of her place in football history, but also in serious legal trouble that changed her life forever. Eboue left Ivory Coast while still very young, driven by determination and the dream of becoming a professional football player. Glory and wealth arrived in 2005. When Eboue signed with English giants Arsenal, he became an important right-back, winning the FA Cup. But it was at Galatasaray that he truly established himself, winning several major tournaments in Turkey. Representing the Ivory Coast national team, Eboue had the honor of playing in 2 World Cups. Money naturally followed success. Eboue amassed a large fortune. His salary at Galatasaray reportedly reached 2.5 million euros per season, an enormous amount for that time. Eboue trusted his then-wife, Aurélie, blindly, and that's exactly where everything started to fall apart. He signed every document, every contract, without questioning anything. He put his entire fortune in her hands, making her the sole manager of all his finances. Little did he know this trust would become the perfect trap. After leaving Galatasaray, Eboue's career began to stagnate, and his relationship with Aurélie eventually collapsed. In 2016, the nightmare became reality. The bitter divorce process began. The British court ruled that, due to the documents he had signed, his ex-wife was entitled to most of his assets. This caused disastrous financial consequences. Eboue lost almost his entire fortune. He no longer had money to pay legal fees or hire a good lawyer to challenge the decision. He was ordered to hand over the mansion in Enfield, where he lived, to his ex-wife. The right back, who once played in a Champions League final, was kicked out of his own home, losing all control over the life he fought so hard to build. He revealed to newspapers in December 2017 that he was broke and homeless. Eboue said he slept at friends' houses, on mattresses on the floor, and admitted he constantly felt like he was on the run, afraid of being arrested. On top of financial ruin, he lost contact with his 3 children, as the divorce prevented him from seeing them. The crisis pushed Eboue into dark thoughts, as he confessed in an emotional interview. Eboue's story stands as a brutal warning. Someone who had truly made it ended up losing everything because of blind trust and a complete lack of financial education. And when we talk about players who lost everything, we can't forget Robinho. Robson de Souza was born in 1984, in one of the poorest neighborhoods on the coast of São Paulo. Like so many Brazilian kids, soccer wasn't just a hobby. It was the only real way out. At 13, he joined Santos's youth academy, and it didn't take long for everyone to realize he wasn't just another kid. His quick dribbles, explosive speed, and unique swagger reminded people of someone. The comparison was inevitable. Many said he was the new Pelé. In 2002, at just 18, Robinho exploded. Brazilian champion with Santos, best player of the league, and an instant idol at Vila Belmiro, state titles, and a Libertadores run that nearly ended in glory. He had everything a Brazilian star was supposed to have: refined skill, a charismatic personality, and a humble, inspiring background. The world was watching the rise of yet another Brazilian superstar. In 2005, Real Madrid paid 24 million euros, an absolute fortune at the time, to bring him to Europe. At Madrid, Robinho shared the locker room with football legends. He won La Liga in 2007 and 2008, becoming a key player for the club. In 2008, Manchester City made him the most expensive signing in English football that year. Robinho was the face of the most ambitious project in Europe. 2 years later, he joined AC Milan. Playing alongside Ibrahimovic and Pato, he had solid moments and scored important goals. For Brazil's national team, he scored 28 goals, won the Copa America in 2007, and lifted the Confederations Cup twice, in 2009 and 2013. Robinho earned over 80 million euros in contracts throughout his career. He had sponsorship deals with global brands like Nike and Adidas. He had worldwide recognition, fame, and massive influence. He had everything anyone could dream of. And then Robinho destroyed his career in a criminal way. A 22-year-old woman was the victim of a group sexual assault, and Robinho was among the accused. At the time, the case didn't immediately explode in the media. The investigation moved quietly, and Robinho kept playing. Back in Brazil, he went on to play for other clubs, but the Italian justice system kept working relentlessly. The first conviction came in 2017, 9 years in prison. In 2020, the second ruling confirmed the sentence. Only in 2022 did the final decision come out. The wiretapped audio recordings from the investigation were devastating. Robinho is heard downplaying the crime, laughing about it, and treating the victim with absolute disrespect. From that moment on, there was no way back. In October 2020, Santos announced Robinho's return. The media reaction was immediate. Sponsors threatened to cut ties, protests erupted across social media, and backlash from fans and journalists forced the club to cancel the contract in just 5 days. Robinho lost the right to step foot in the place where he was once a hero. No club, anywhere in Brazil or the world, wanted to be associated with his name. A career that could have ended with honors collapsed in complete disgrace. Robinho's public image was completely destroyed. The name Robinho stopped meaning beautiful football and became tied to a horrific crime. In March 2024, he was arrested in Brazil. The Supreme Federal Court authorized him to serve his 9-year sentence on Brazilian soil, fully validating the Italian ruling. It's a shocking sight. The kid once hailed as the new Pelé, now wearing a prison uniform.